Congress dissidents challenge inception-sized majority decision to postpone General Convention. Row over Special Convention completes. Nepali Election Commission to strictly enforce Code of Conduct. Nepali Election Commission to strictly enforce the code. Nepal launches Foreign Nationals Management Information System, voluntary tracking system to monitor visitors in real time. Qatar grants amnesty to 30 Nepali prisoners under Amiri amnesty. Nepal to issue labour permits to unregistered Nepali workers in Iraq. At least 6 people killed in Iran during protests over rising costs of living. President urges calm as demonstrations held in several cities. An IOC chief says Russians won't represent their country at Winter Olympics even if Ukraine war ends. Good evening, I am Ipulagi Singh Lama. This is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepali time. Now the news in details. Nepali Congress has set the new date for its 15th General Convention. The party has decided to hold the convention from May 11 to 14 in Kathmandu. Earlier, this convention was scheduled to take place from January 10, but it could not be held for various reasons. Following this, the Congress has set a new date. Along with this, the tenure of the Congress Central Working Committee has also been extended. Previously, the tenure had been extended by 2 months until mid-February. At today's meeting, Acting President Purna Bahadur Khadka proposed to hold the convention from May 11 to 14. After the Central Convention is rescheduled, the dates for lower-level conventions have been newly determined. Now we will delve more in our issue of the day today. Now, before that, the Election Commission of Nepal has announced it will strictly enforce the Election Code of Conduct ahead of the upcoming elections. The code, now approved, will be implemented 50 to 52 days before voting day. For the first time, Nepal will have green elections with biodegradable and environmentally friendly materials. Digital campaigning will be prioritized over traditional paper leaflets. In the proportional representation elections, 58 election symbols will be used and around 2 million ballots are being printed with black symbols on a white background. The Commission has also approved 40 observer organizations, including 36 national and 4 international, for the March 5 House of Representatives election. The Election Commission says these steps aim to ensure transparent, inclusive and environmentally responsible elections across Nepal. The Department of Immigration has introduced the Foreign National Management Information System to monitor and manage foreign nationals in real time. The system collects data such as name, nationality and passport number and can be accessed through service providers like hotels or via self-registration on the department's website. Officials say the system ensures national security and foreign national safety without compromising privacy, as no chips are inserted and data is used only for security or investigations. Participation is voluntary at present, with star hotels in Kathmandu Valley taking part. The government plans to make it mandatory nationwide for hotels, airlines, tour companies and other service providers to improve effectiveness. The success of FNMIS depends largely on private sector compliance, says the department. More on this in our cover story later in the program. Now, the government of the state of Qatar has granted Amiri amnesty to 30 Nepali inmates on the occasion of Qatar's National Day and International Human Rights Day. According to acting Nepali ambassador to Qatar, Kumar Rai, among the 13, most had already served their jail terms, but their additional financial penalties were pardoned. Of the 13 granted amnesty, 4 were convicted in drug abuse cases, 5 in alcohol-related incidents, and 3 in theft and child pornography cases. The acting ambassador, talking to NTV World, said 11 have already returned to Nepal and the remaining will return within 3 days. The government of Nepal has decided to grant labour permits to Nepali workers in Iraq who have been working there for years without official approval. Following a cabinet decision on December 25, eligible workers can now obtain official labor approval through a documentation process. This comes after consent from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Law. Nepali nationals holding Iraqi residency cards can apply for labor approval when they return to Nepal. Around 30,000 Nepali nationals in Iraq were previously unregistered, which limited their travel and legal protections. The move aims to bring workers under the official foreign employment system and ensure safer legal work abroad. Now, protesters attacked a government building in the southern Iranian city of Fasa on December 31st. The unrest comes amid spontaneous protests across the country, fueled by frustration over economic stagnation and rising living costs. Iran's Justice Ministry said part of the provincial governor's office door and glass were damaged, but details on how the attack occurred or whether arrests were made have not been released. Videos circulating on social media show damage to the building, as though the footage has not been independently verified. The protests reflect growing public discontent over economic conditions in Iran. Russian athletes at the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics will not be able to represent their country even if a peace deal is reached with Ukraine, according to International Olympic Committee President Christy Coventry. The IOC chief said at this stage nothing would change the committee's decision following allowing Russian athletes to take part in the February Games only as individuals representing themselves. The IOC banned Russia and Belarus following the former full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, and the IOC ruled in September that Russians and Belarusians competing at Milano Cortina would do so as individual athletes without a national flag or anthem. In other remarks, Coventry, the IOC's first woman president, said holding the Olympics in multiple cities as Italy is doing would become the new normality, and the Milano Cortina Games would provide useful guidance for the future. After the break, in our issue of the day, Nepal Congress's decision to postpone the 15th General Convention until after the March 5 elections and ignoring calls from two General Secretaries for a special convention in January. Welcome back to NTV World News Hour. Time for Issue of the Day. The meeting of Nepali Congress Working Execution Committee today rescheduled its Central General Convention for May 11 to 14. The meeting followed a previous extension of the convention deadline by 2 months, which had pushed it to the end of the Nepali month of Magh. Party spokesperson Prakash Sharan Mahat said the Working Execution Committee meeting held amid ongoing internal tensions focused on finalizing the schedule for central and local level conventions to ensure the party adheres to its statuses while managing factional disagreements. Now, however, Party General Secretary Gagan Thapa expressed dissent, emphasizing that he is firm on holding a special convention after further consultations with the party leadership.
गाउँ नगर वडा अधिवेशन 82 चैत 21 गते, गाउँ नगरपालिका अधिवेशन चैत्र 25 गते, प्रदेश सभा क्षेत्रीय अधिवेशन चैत्र 28 गते, प्रतिनिधि सभा क्षेत्रीय अधिवेशन एकमात्र प्रतिनिधि सभा निर्वाचन क्षेत्र भएको जिल्लामा वैशाख 2 गते, 2 वा 2 भन्दा बढी प्रतिनिधि सभा निर्वाचन क्षेत्र भएको जिल्लामा वैशाख 5 गते, प्रदेश अधिवेशन वैशाख 10, 11 र 12 गते, केन्द्रीय महाधिवेशन वैशाख 28, 29, 30 र 31 गते हुने गरेर यो निर्णय भएको छ। यद्यपि केही साथीहरूको चाहिँ अलग मत पनि आएको छ।
Congress Work Execution Committee has postponed the 15th General Convention of the party for after the March 5 election, ignoring the two General Secretaries' push for a special General Convention in mid-January itself. Riding on majority, the committee meeting today ignored the two General Secretaries' claim of having the backing of over 50% Mahasamiti members for the constitutional provision. While leaders and cadres fear possible split in the party, analysts fear this could even affect the country's political course post-Gen Z movement. Pawana Kisi takes a closer look.
Congress heading to a crash course. The most pertinent question at this point within the country's oldest and arguably most dominant political party has intensified with Friday's heist. While the two General Secretaries Gagan Thapa and Biswa Prakash Sharma, who represent the second generation in the party, announced the rebellion against the inception side by demanding a special General Convention, the Work Execution Committee meeting decided to postpone the 15th General Convention. This comes as rank indifference to the demand of special General Convention proposal registered by the two young leaders, which as per party statute would mature to 90 days on January the 12th. The inception side, led by acting party president Purna Bahadur Khanka, rather extended its term and revised the pre-scheduled date of January 10 to 12 to May 10 to 14. While the inception side dismissed the claims and went ahead on majority of the Work Execution Committee, where 5 leaders presented their note of dissent. The debate in the arguably the largest political party of the country is definitely going to affect the political course of the country, including the upcoming March 5 elections, according to political analyst Himlal Devkota.
निर्वाचनको समानुपातिको नोमिनेसन भइसकेको प्रत्यक्षको नोमिनेसन गर्ने संगारमा पार्टी फुट्यो भने मेरो विचारमा आसन्न निर्वाचन पनि हुन्छ कि हुँदैन त्यता पनि असर पर्न सक्छ। त्यसकारण गम्भीर सिनेरियो मैले राजनीतिमा देखिराखेको छु। त्यस कारण पनि नेपाली कांग्रेस पार्टीले बुद्धिमत्तापूर्ण निर्णय गर्नु उपयुक्त हुन्छ।
Congress leaders, on the other hand, who rule out the possibility of split, also see this as an opportunity for much-needed leadership transition in the party. Congress youth leader Sachin Timilsina blames the inception side of trying its best to avoid possible takeover from young leaders.
Today's meeting in Sanepa clearly has stated that the establishment led by the President Sherbahadur Deuwa doesn't want any form of convention before Nepali Congress goes into the elections. And the General Secretary Gagan Thapa has now stated that he is not going to back out from the demand of this special convention that is to be held on 27th and 28th of Push this month. Now, whatever the cause is, it looks as if Nepali Congress has gone in two different directions. But being a Congress party member, I think there is no way Nepali Congress party can face the election without having a change in leadership.
Despite the debate, most of the Congress leaders are hopeful that the party will remain intact, especially at a time when the Gen Z protest has set a different political tone in the country. Whether the Congress party heads to a real crash course and the dissidents revolt or not is yet to be seen. But the debate is definitely going to set new waves in Nepali politics, even up to affecting the March 5's elections.
Amid growing internal tensions in Nepal's oldest party, we asked local leaders and party workers in Kailali and Chapa if Nepali Congress heading toward a split. Let's take a look in our public pulse for today.
देशको आवश्यकता र समयको मागलाई सम्बोधन गरेर निर्वाचन महाधिवेशन गरेर निर्वाचनमा जानु भन्दा अर्को कांग्रेसको अगाडि विकल्प छैन।
महाधिवेशन गरेर नै निर्वाचनमा जानुपर्छ जस्तो देशको दिग्गज नेताहरू गगन थापा, प्रदीप पौडेल, विश्वप्रकाश शर्मा जस्ता व्यक्तित्वहरूले नै युवा सर्कलका व्यक्तित्वहरूले नै यो माग राखिरहनु भएको छ भने यो भन्दा अर्को विकल्प छैन।
नेपाली कांग्रेसका नेतागणहरूले बुझ्नुपर्छ यो अधिवेशन भएर यो सशक्त ढंगले आफ्नो यो अब आउने निर्वाचनमा घुमिनुपर्छ कि जस्तो लाग्छ।
नेपाली कांग्रेसका आदरणीय नेतृत्वहरूले चाहिँ सहमति, सहकार्य र एकता गरेर यो 26 गतेको विशेष महाधिवेशनलाई चाहिँ केही दिन पर सारेर अब नियमित महाधिवेशन गरेर नेतृत्व परिवर्तन गर्नुपर्छ।
अहिले देश आमूल परिवर्तनको पक्षमा गएको छ र परिवर्तन खोज्दै गर्दा अबको अवस्थामा समय सापेक्षिक हामी चल्नुपर्छ। राजनीतिक व्यक्तित्वहरू फुटको हिसाबले होइन एउटा जुटको हिसाबले अगाडि बढेर जानुपर्छ।
हाम्रो चाहिँ भावनात्मक एकताको आवश्यकता छ। के हुने भन्ने कुरा सबै त्यागौँ। पार्टी विधि प्रक्रिया पद्धति र सैद्धान्तिक रूपमा न्यायोचित तरिकाले अगाडि बढ्यौँ भने नेपाली कांग्रेस एक नम्बर पार्टी हो।
देशव्यापी रूपमा भनौँ जनताको आवाज पनि नेपाली कांग्रेस चाहिँ एक भएर जानुपर्छ भन्ने छ। नेपाली कांग्रेस एक भएर जानु पनि पर्छ। जुन अब अहिलेको अवस्थामा जुन यो गुट उपगुट जुन असहमतहरू देखिएको छ त्यो चाहिँ संवादद्वारा हामीले त्यसको निकास निकाल्नुपर्छ।
पार्टीको लागि लागिरहने व्यक्तिलाई पार्टीमा ल्याउन र पार्टीमा उल्लेख गरेका गलतहरूलाई पनि माफ गरिकन र सुधार गर्ने उसलाई मौका दिएर र अब एक हुन अति जरुरी छ।
भनौँ न विशेष गरी जेनजी आन्दोलनपछि नेपाली कांग्रेसमा केही विमतिहरू देखिएका छन् र जेनजी आन्दोलन युवाहरूको माग हो। त्यसलाई पनि हामीले समेट्नै पर्छ। नेपाली कांग्रेस जस्तो पार्टीले
In the meantime, party's disgruntled General Secretary Gagan Thapa emphasized that he is firm on holding a special convention after further consultations with the party leadership.
विधानको पालना नगरेको कुरा मैले पार्टीको महामन्त्री भएर टुलटुल हेरेर बस्न मिल्दैन, बस्न सक्दिन। धारा 17(2) को त्यो बेलामा विधानको पालना मैले गर्छु, हामीले गर्छौं, हामीले गर्नुपर्छ। त्यसले हामी अझै पनि अपेक्षा गर्छौं केन्द्रीय कार्यसमितिकै बैठक बसेर बैठकले विशेष महाधिवेशनको आयोजना गर्छ। त्यो केन्द्रीय कार्यसमितिको बैठक बसेर निर्णय भएन भने त्यो बेलामा केन्द्रले आफ्नो केन्द्र भनेको केन्द्रीय कार्यालय हो, केन्द्रीय कार्यालय भनेको महामन्त्री उसले आफ्नो विधानले दिएको अधिकारको प्रयोग गरेर विशेष महाधिवेशनको आयोजना गर्छ। यो पुष मसान्तभित्रमा नेपाली कांग्रेसको काठमाडौँमा विशेष महाधिवेशनको आयोजना हुन्छ।
The party's two general secretaries have pushed for a special general convention in mid-January itself and or before parliamentary elections. That was our issue of the day. Now time for our cover story. Now, meanwhile, in 2025, while the US and China follow closely, but can the new foreign national management information system ensure real-time trafficking of visitors? This and more on our cover story after the break. Welcome back to NTV World News Hour. Let's move on to our cover story. Indian tourists dominated Nepal arrival for yet another year by a runaway margin in 2025. Despite peak season disturbance in September due to Gen Z protest, Nepal enjoyed a satisfactory 2025 in terms of foreign tourist arrival. According to the data issued by Nepal Tourism Board, which excludes inland foreign tourists, 1.15 million foreign tourists landed in Nepal in 2025. Of them, 25.4% were Indian tourists, while USA is in the second place with 9.69%. In the list, third is China, which earlier used to be number 1 with 8.24% of tourists, ahead of Britain that contributed 5.6% of tourists in Nepal. In the fifth place are surprisingly Bangladeshis, who made 4.97% of total foreign tourists arriving in Nepal in the year 2025. Now, the Department of Immigration has launched the Foreign National Management Information System, FNMIS, to track and manage foreign nationals in real time. But its success hinges on voluntary compliance from hotels, airlines and other services across Nepal. Diksha Awasthi takes a look.
The Foreign National Management Information System, FNMIS, is a centralized voluntary entry system implemented to regulate, monitor, manage and facilitate the real-time activities of foreign nationals in Nepal. Its effectiveness relies largely on the compliance of sector providers. So, how does this system work? FNMIS is a centralized entry system that integrates the real-time movement of foreign nationals through the services they receive in Nepal. The Department of Immigration leads the system by developing an additional service provider portal within its existing Nepali port software. The information collected includes the foreign national's name, nationality, and passport number. There are two ways foreign nationals can be enrolled in the system. First, through service providers like hotels while availing services in Nepal. Second, tourists can register themselves in advance through the website of the Department of Immigration, which is not mandatory.
विदेशी नागरिकहरू नेपालमा आउनुभन्दा अगाडि नै हाम्रो अध्यागमन विभागको डिपार्टमेन्ट अफ इमिग्रेसन भन्ने एउटा हामीले एप्लिकेसनको विकास गरेका छौं। त्यहाँ चाहिँ उहाँले आफ्नो विवरण इन्ट्री गरेपछि एउटा क्यूआर कोड जेनेरेट हुन्छ। त्यो क्यूआर कोड लिएर नेपाल प्रवेश गरिसकेपछि उहाँ आफ्नो सेवा प्रदायक, विशेष गरी भनौं न होटलमै गएर बस्नुभयो भनेदेखि होटलमा चेक इन हुँदाको बखत त्यो क्यूआर कोड सो गर्नुहुन्छ। त्यो क्यूआर कोड चाहिँ रिड भइसकेपछि अटोमेटिकल्ली त्यो उहाँको डेटा हाम्रो विभागको पोर्टलमा आइपुग्छ। र यसलाई हामीले म्यान्डेटरी पनि गरेका छैनौं। कतिपयले आफ्नो विवरण इन्ट्री नगरी पनि आउन सक्नुहुन्छ। यस्तो अवस्थामा हाम्रो सेवा प्रदायक संस्था भनौं न होटलले उहाँको पासपोर्ट हेरेर आफ्नो सिस्टममा इन्ट्री गरिदिनुहुन्छ।
The department has clarified that it is fully aware of privacy and data protection concerns. It has stated that the system does not insert any chips and the information collected will be used strictly for national security, the security of foreign nationals and criminal investigations if required.
अध्यागमन विभागले विशेष गरी यो विदेशी नागरिकहरूको सुरक्षाकै लागि अवलम्बन गरेको यो एउटा प्रणाली हो। यसमा कुनै पनि व्यक्तिको हामीले नितान्त व्यक्तिगत गतिविधिहरूलाई हामीले अनुगमन गर्दैनौं।
However, challenges have been seen in ensuring participation from all stakeholders. Concerns remain that limited involvement of hotels, tourism associations and institutions not yet integrated into digital systems could affect the system's effectiveness. Despite this, in the first phase, participation has already begun from star hotels in Kathmandu Valley. The system will be made mandatory nationwide for all star hotels, international airline companies, tour and travel companies, money exchanges, guest houses, and other public and private institutions providing services to foreign nationals in Nepal. Despite the department's claim that the system is the panacea to the real-time tracking foreign nationals in Nepal, the effectiveness of the system, which is largely voluntary till date, hinges on the compliance of the private sector service providers.
That was the cover story for today. We now move on to other updates. Districts of Nepal's Tarai Plains, including Baker district, is facing severe disruptions due to dense fog and a chilling cold wave affecting daily life across the region. Now, this just in, a Buddha airline craft landed at Bhadrapur airport in Nepal's eastern Chapa district. All members on board are reportedly safe. Moving on with our news bulletin. Districts of Nepal's Tarai Plains, including Baker district, is facing severe disruptions due to dense fog and a chilling cold wave affecting daily lives across the region. Schools, markets and transport services have been delayed or limited as visibility remains low and temperatures drop. Children, students, daily wage workers, the elderly and vulnerable populations are among the hardest hit, with many forced to stay indoors to cope with the extreme cold. Morning markets and shops are opening late and public areas are largely deserted by evening as temperatures continue to fall. Transport services have been particularly affected, with drivers reporting difficulties navigating through thick fog. Health facilities are also seeing a surge in patients suffering from cold-related ailments. Meteorologists have warned that the dense fog and cold wave may persist for several days, urging residents to take precautions. Now, the Department of Drug Administration, DDA, has released a notice concerning the recall of certain medicines from the market. The department on Friday issued a notice to recall the drug Levoflox 500 tablets from the local market with batch number BB24001. The department has also urged all not to recommend, sell, distribute and use the drug of this specific batch number. Manufactured by Magnus Pharma Private Limited, this drug is used to prevent bacterial infections. The department stated that the lab test of the specific batch carried out at the National Drug Laboratory did not meet the quality standards. The sale and distribution of these drugs have been suspended and they must be immediately recalled from the market. The records should be submitted to the department as per Section 14 of the Drug Act 2035 BS. The department has mentioned in the notice by informing the concerned industry and its representatives. Moving on, fingerlings produced at the Rainbow Trout Fish Research Center in Dhunche, Raswa in High Himalayas are now being distributed to farmers in Darchula and other districts of western Nepal. The project aims to promote aquaculture in high-altitude areas and help boost income for mountain farmers. So far, the center's fingerlings have reached 41 districts nationwide, supporting sustainable fish farming in Nepal's Himalayan communities. Sugarcane has been one of the major cash crops in Nepal's Tarai region, including Kapilvastu. Thousands of small and marginal farmers depend on it for year-round income employment, thus establishing itself as an integral part of rural economy. However, the sector has been facing a systemic crisis for several years. Our colleague Rojina Rai with our local correspondent Bikas Banjare explained more on the matter.
Recent government data shows a consistent decline in sugarcane cultivation area and production in Nepal. With farmers shifting to other crops, sugarcane production fell from over 3.4 million tons in the fiscal year 2019-20 to around 3.1 million tons in 2023-24. In terms of cultivation area shrinkage from 2020 to 2024, it is over 6,340 hectares. Meanwhile, the number of farmers engaged in sugarcane cultivation has decreased by 20% over the last 5 years. The plight of sugarcane farmers is largely attributed to low minimum support prices, government inaction, and delayed payments, which have forced many to switch to more profitable crops. The effects are particularly evident in the Tarai region's Kapilvastu district, once a major sugarcane production area. For farmers, cultivating sugarcane has become increasingly unsustainable as recovering production cost has grown challenging. Sugar industries are also affected, leading to only about 9 mills currently running out of more than a dozen. Mills that previously operated continuously for up to 5 months during peak season now run for only 2 and 3 months due to sugarcane shortages. Farmers in Kapilvastu report that Mahalakshmi Sugar Mill, the district's sole mill, still owes nearly 20 million rupees, approximately $138,787 for sugarcane they supplied before it shut down. Local sugarcane farmers recall selling sugarcane worth hundreds of thousands to the mill a decade decade ago and are still waiting to receive the payment. With no nearby mills and limited irrigation facilities, many farmers are now compelled to sell sugarcane to jaggery processors at a meager price of around $2 per quintal, much below the government-determined prices. Unpaid dues from both sugar mills and the government have made it increasingly difficult for the farmers to sustain their livelihoods, prompting many to consider alternative professions. Frustrated and desperate, they have waged rounds of protest, even walking always to federal capital Kathmandu, but their issues remains as it is. Rosina Rai with local correspondent Vikas Banjare, Kapilvastu, Nepal.
International news coming up next. For now, a quick recap of the headlines. Nepali Congress dissents challenge inception size majority decision to postpone General Convention. Row over special convention complicates. Nepal Election Commission to strictly enforce Code of Conduct. Nepal Election Commission to strictly enforce the code. Nepal launches foreign national managed information system, voluntary tracking system to monitor visitors in real time. Qatar grants amnesty to 30 Nepali prisoners under Amiri amnesty. Nepal to issue labor permits to unregistered Nepali workers in Iraq. At least 6 people killed in Iran during protests over rising cost of living. President urges calm as demonstrations held in several cities. An IOC chief says Russians won't represent their country at Winter Olympics even if the war in Ukraine ends. Business news and sports update coming up next. Now, Swiss police are working to identify the victims of a fire at Lake Constellation Bar in the ski resort of Cannes, Montana. Officers warned that the process could take days or weeks. French and Italian authorities say they have citizens missing, including 16-year-old Giovanni from Bologna. Around 40 people died in the blaze on New Year's Eve and 115 others are injured. Footage shows a partygoer attempting to put out flames. At a hospital in Geneva, a doctor says patients, some as young as 15, are being treated for severe burns. It is not yet clear what caused the fire. Emergency services of Ukraine showed firefighters battling multiple fires in both residential and commercial buildings in Zaporizhia after overnight Russian drone strikes hit the southern Ukrainian city. Crews were seen working through the night to extinguish flames, secure damaged structures, and prevent the fire from spreading to nearby homes. Emergency responders also carried out inspections of affected areas while local authorities assessed the extent of the damage. Residents were urged to remain cautious as rescue and cleanup operations continued amid ongoing security risks. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said on Thursday he was open to talks with the U.S. on drug trafficking and oil after weeks of an escalating pressure campaign against his government. In an interview with Venezuelan state TV, Maduro said he was ready for dialogue with the U.S. wherever they want and whenever they want. He also evaded a question about a statement by President Donald Trump that the U.S. had hit a docking facility in Venezuela, the first such attack inside the country reportedly carried out by the CIA. U.S. forces have been hitting vessels they suspect of smuggling narcotics through the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific for the past 3 months. Turkish security forces have arrested 8 people in the southeastern province of Şanlıurfa over alleged online propaganda linked to the Islamic State group. Authorities say the suspects shared and promoted content praising IS on social media platforms. The investigation followed a recent counterterrorism operation in the northwestern province of Yalova, prompting intensified nationwide monitoring of extremist online activity. Police units from Şanlıurfa's counterterrorism department carried out coordinated raids with support from Turkey's National Intelligence Organization. All 8 suspects were taken into custody and later formally arrested by the court. Turkey has carried out frequent operations against IS-linked networks in recent years, citing ongoing security threats from the group. Time for business news.
Suspicious transactions of virtual assets, which is considered illegal in Nepal, has increased in recent years. As per the Strategic Analysis Report related to Virtual Assets 2025 released by Financial Information Unit of the Nepal Rashtra Bank on Thursday, 658 suspicious transactions of virtual assets were recorded in the last 5 years. Crypto, stablecoin, utility token, and other tokenized assets fall under virtual assets, which are used for trading, transfer, payment, and investment. The unit has received the information that 658 suspicious transactions and activities had occurred from January 2021 to July 2025. Total 13 suspicious transactions and activities were reported in 2021, 173 in 2022, 138 in 2023, and 252 in 2024, according to the Nepal Rashtra Bank report. Total 82 suspicious transactions and activities took place till July 16 of the current fiscal year. Of the total suspicious transactions, more than 91% was sent by commercial banks, 48 by development banks, 6 by remittance companies, and 2 by finance companies. The NRB forwards such suspicious transactions and activities to different bodies for further investigation. As per the report, the NRB sent 232 such cases to the Nepal Police, 115 to the Revenue Investigation Department, 6 to the Department of Money Laundering Investigation, 3 to the Payment Services Department under NRB, and 1 to the Inland Revenue Department over the last 5 years. China's BYD is set to overtake Elon Musk's Tesla as the world's biggest seller of electric vehicles or EVs, marking the first time it has outpaced its American rival for annual sales. On Thursday, BYD said that sales of its battery-powered cars rose last year by almost 28% to more than 2.25 million. Tesla, which is due to reveal its total sales for 2025 later on Friday, last week published analysts' estimates suggesting that it had sold around 1.65 million vehicles for the year as a whole. The US firm has faced a tough year with a mixed reception to new offerings, unease over Musk's political activities, and intensifying competition from Chinese rivals. London's financial district saw Britain's benchmark stock index, the FTSE 100, eclipse the psychologically significant 10,000-point mark for the first time, marking a historic moment for the London Stock Exchange and investor confidence. The FTSE 100, which tracks the 100 largest companies listed on the London Stock Exchange in the City of London and is closely watched by traders across Canary Wharf and the Square Mile, rose above 10,000 in early trading on Friday, extending a strong rally carried over from 2025. The index surged as much as 0.8% to a peak above 10,046 points before easing slightly later in the session. The milestone comes after a robust performance last year in which the FTSE 100 climbed more than 21%, its best annual gain since 2009, buoyed by strong showings in banking, mining, and defense stocks. Major contributors included aerospace and defense firms and internationally focused miners, whose earnings helped offset weaker sentiment around UK domestic economic growth. Pakistan's consumer price inflation slowed to 5.6% year-on-year in December, while prices fell on a monthly basis, according to official data. The data comes after Pakistan's central bank cut its key policy rate by 50 basis points to 10.5% last month, breaking a 4-meeting hold in a move that surprised markets. Inflation eased from 6.1% in November and marked a sharp slowdown from levels that peaked above 30% in 2023. Pakistan's central bank has said the inflation outlook remains broadly unchanged, while the International Monetary Fund has cautioned against premature monetary easing under Pakistan's $7 billion loan program.
Time for sports update. The 9th NVA Men's and Women's Club Volleyball Championship will see defending champions Help Nepal face Tribhuvan Army Club for the men's title, while the women's final will feature New Diamond Club against Nepal Police Club. In the men's semi-finals held today at the Covered Hall of the National Sports Council in Tripureshwar, Army defeated Rukum West 3-2 to secure a place in the final. Earlier, Help Nepal overcame Nepal Police Club in straight sets 3-0 to book their final spot. In the women's semi-finals, New Diamond Club beat APF Club 3-0, while Nepal Police Club defeated Tribhuvan Army Club 3-1. The finals of the NVF Volleyball Championship are scheduled for tomorrow. Venus Williams is set to become the oldest female player to compete in the Australian Open main draw at the age of 45. The 7-time Grand Slam champion has received the final women's wildcard for the tournament, which begins on 18 January. Williams last appeared at Melbourne Park in 2021 when she was beaten by Italy's Sara Errani in the second round. The American, twice a runner-up in the first Grand Slam event of the year, will surpass the record of Japan's Kimiko Date, who was 44 when she played at the event in 2015. Williams has also accepted a wildcard for the Hobart International warm-up event starting on 12 January, where she will be joined by Britain's Emma Raducanu. The former world number one, who was beaten by her sister Serena in the 2003 and 2017 finals, has not competed outside the United States since 2023. Williams made a return to the US Open in New York last year, becoming the third oldest woman to compete at the tournament in the Open era. However, she was defeated 6-3, 2-6, 6-1 in the first round by Czech Karolina Muchova. Time now for the weather update, first from Nepal and then from around the world. Before wrapping up, let's take a look into the headlines once again. Nepali Congress dissidents challenge inception-size majority decision to postpone General Convention. Row over special convention complicates. Nepal Election Commission to strictly enforce Code of Conduct. Nepal Election Commission to strictly enforce the code. Nepal launches Foreign Nationals Management Information System, voluntary tracking system to monitor visitors in real time. Qatar grants amnesty to 13 Nepali prisoners under Amiri amnesty. Nepal to issue labor permits to unregistered Nepali workers in Iraq. At least 6 people killed in Iran during protests over rising cost of living. President urges calm as demonstrations held in several cities. And IOC chief says Russians won't represent their country at Winter Olympics even if Ukraine war ends. That is all for the moment. Do join us through our social media and visit us at www.nepaltelevision.com for more information and news. I am Ipulagi Singh Lama. Thank you for watching. Good night.